Good morning. We are live. Welcome, everyone. I am Avocat Olivia Marcu-Iordanescu, and I help technology companies streamline their legal processes so they get funding fast and efficient. I want to share with you today the due diligence do's and don'ts. Understanding the due diligence process and being fully aware of its utility and importance, not just for your investors, but for yourself as a founder, is truly what this session is about. Because I believe in this stage of your funding, the due diligence process is basically majorly underestimated and underutilized by founders to its real value. So that is what this session today is about. So today I will explain first what is the intention of the due diligence process and why it is so important in the funding, and not only in the funding process, but later on for your company. Second, I will share the 10 do's and don'ts in the due diligence process. Third, what can go wrong if you don't disclose the information and documentation that is requested from you. And last but not least, for those of you who have not seen a due diligence checklist yet, I'm going to make it available to you. All you have to do is comment in the comments below of this live stream, and I will shoot it to you right away. So before going on, I just want to quickly check that everything is working and that we are live. And in the meantime, just let me know in the comments, where are you joining in? I would like to hear. Great. So let's start. And why is it important to you as a founder? The investor's legal counsel will make an information request to assist them in their legal due diligence process and review in connection with the proposed investment. So what is important to keep in mind here is that while some of this information that they are requesting from you is private, it is not publicly available, right? And only you hold some of this information within your company records. Other information is public. So for instance, all information published in public registrars, such as trade registry or company house, beneficial owners registries, but also insolvency registrars, registers of liens and charges relating to movable or immovable property, and then intellectual property public records such as trademarks, designs, patents, bulletins, and databases, but also financial results for your company that you publish through your financial statements. Now, the point is, they will be inquiring into the legal and financial information and documentation from you to check it against publicly available records, information, documentation for conformity to ensure validity, but they will also be inquiring into such information to ensure that you hold full title and interest into your assets, assess what are potential risks and liabilities, and substantiate their valuation of your company. Now, here's what I want you to take away from all this. And I cannot stress enough how important this is for you as a founder. In the beginnings, when you are building your company, you are missing the most vital thing, a team. You don't have a trusted legal advisor in this team, maybe a marketing specialist, a salesperson. Maybe you don't have enough technical people on your team. And things are moving fast for you. And your number one priority in the beginning is to make your product viable and get clients in the door, because you need cash. Cash is your number one priority. So I can totally understand, even though I don't support it, okay, how you don't bother about the legal part of your business at this stage. You know, in the economy of things, it's not the number one thing on your radar. And this is where you are simply left behind in your business. So I want you to use the due diligence process as an opportunity to bring yourself and your company up to speed on that. Uncover any risks, open points, flags, liabilities, loose ends, whatever that is there and you hadn't had the time or the chance to go over and bring integrity into that. This is a good time, maybe not an ideal time, but it's an opportunity for you to clean up, bring integrity, and set a strong legal foundation. Whether or not it will be with this investor or the next one, the due diligence is an opportunity to get sharp. It's like a triathlon training, I like to say. I do triathlons and I do them because I like to keep myself accountable to my fitness and well-being goals, to give me a motivational boost, to keep me in shape, to keep me on track, with my well-being. So take the due diligence as a milestone for your business and leverage it to your benefit. Now, what are the 10 do's and don'ts in the due diligence process? Number 1, where your company has subsidiaries or associated companies, which together form a group of companies, right? You need to treat any request for information relating to the company as applying to each member of that group. So if there are corporate documents that are being requested from your main company, make sure you provide also from the subsidiaries. 2, when supplying replies and copies of documents in response to the information request, provide the appropriate documents or information or an appropriate negative statement if that's the case. We don't have this, as soon as possible. Do not wait until you have collected all the requested documents and information before responding to the lawyers. Where you are unable to provide some answers, right away or documents, simply mark your response to the corresponding question to be followed up on and answer the remaining questions. 3, you will be exchanging many versions of the information request questionnaire or due diligence questionnaire, whatever you want to call it. Make sure you have a reliable and consistent system of tracking the versions. Provide a written response where the documents do not clearly explain the position. So there may be instances where you need to provide certain clarifications, like, for instance, why did you apply for a certain license in your business and not for another type of license? This may not be always apparent to the investor or the investor's attorneys from the due diligence response itself. So you may need to provide more background as to your response or the documents that have been uploaded there. 5, where you are uncertain of the scope of any question or the relevance of any information or document, provide as much information as you can. Now, here, what is expected of you as a founder is that you work on the basis that the investor would rather be provided with too much information rather than too little. And we're going to see later on what is the impact of not providing enough information, or can be the impact, the consequence. Good. 6, where appropriate, make a difference, distinguish between information that is of significance to the operation of the company and information that is of low importance. This is going to make a huge difference in the due diligence process and in the valuation of your company, because most of the times the due diligence is not strictly legal or financial, but it's also operational. And at the end of the day, what the investors are interested in is understanding your operations, understanding how things are working, not to the smallest detail, but to the point where they can make an assessment that your business model is viable and your vision is sustainable in the long term. Good. 7, where the same information or document is supplied in response to 2 or more different questions, do not repeat your response, just make a cross-reference. This will simplify the process. 8, regularly update your responses as more information becomes available, or if subsequent events make any existing response inaccurate. So in the period of time from the beginning of the due diligence to the actual completion of the deal or the transaction, if something, an event has occurred that has an impact on the business, but also alters the information and documentation that has already been provided, then you need to disclose that. 9, provide the documents requested electronically using the same headings and numbering adopted in the information request. Like I said, this is for consistency purposes. It's super, super important. Make sure you are aligned. There will be many versions of the information request checklist that will be exchanged between the investors, lawyers, and your company, your team. And so it's super, super important to be consistent. But what I wanted to underline here for you is, and I've said this before, and I really want to stress it again and again and again, you can take the lead on this. You can be proactive, and you can create your own virtual data room. So not wait for the due diligence process to happen, to actually go into the fury of that. And you can go ahead and start your own virtual data room. And then when the time comes, make that available to your investors. And how you're going to do that is first by commenting checklists in the comments today. And I will provide you with a template of a due diligence checklist. And you can take that and use it as a structure, as a basis for your virtual data room, and start uploading information and documentation in there. 10, provide full details of employees. As a founder, you will want to supply anonymized information. And I get that, and I support that. Your team is one of the most important assets in your company. And so this is extremely sensitive information. You don't want them to be poached or anything like that. So, however, there are key employees in your company, in the business, and your investors will want to know what are the terms of their employment, that you have secured your intellectual property rights, trade secrets, that you have non-competes in place, and they will want to link their employment terms to each individual. You know, like put a face on the name, right? They will be able to see your financials too. And so the other thing they're going to be interested in is, are payments made to these team members, or maybe you've given them equity in the company. You know, do they manage, do they match, what's on your balance sheet? And do they match your strategy going forward? Is that sustainable? Now, if you don't disclose or disclose partially information and documentation in this phase, this may be deemed misleading or fraudulent and have your investment terminated, be facing damages, and ultimately this will be impacting your company valuation and, most importantly, your reputation. So you have to keep in mind that in this pre-negotiation and sometimes even negotiation phase, because they're overlapping, you may have a situation where the due diligence is happening at the same time as the negotiation. From a legal standpoint, you are obliged to act in good faith towards your investors. And this is where I come in and encourage you to be fully transparent in this process. Finally, for those of you who want to get a head start, take the lead and own this process, like the leader that you are, please comment checklist in the comments. I will send over that template to you so you can get started today on creating your virtual data room. Also, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments for me. There are options for you, software solutions to manage the whole due diligence process in a more automatic and streamlined way. I can guide you through that. Thank you for tuning in today. We talked today about the investor's intention in the due diligence process and the importance of the due diligence to you as a founder. We looked at the 10 do's and don'ts in the due diligence process. And finally, I shared with you what is the consequence of you disclosing misleading or fraudulent information in this phase. For more funding wisdom, make sure to follow me, ring that notice bell to get notified whenever I post anything new or go live. Like today, I go live every Thursday morning at 10:30 Central European Time. And if you're ready to get funding, just book a call with me on Marcu-Iordanescu.com. I've just opened up some spots for May, and they're going out fast. To your leadership.